Hello, I'm Robert, and you're welcome here in my busy little shop. On today's episode of What's on My Workbench, I want to talk a little bit about tooling, and specifically when you get a pattern to tool, a lot of times I think people have a problem, I do anyway, of figuring out where to get all the shading on there. It's cool when someone provides you a tooling pattern that's a pencil outline of it, but it's not necessarily tooled. And in the tooling process, you get an idea of where to shade and where's a good place to put in your decorative cuts. And for someone just starting out, that's probably more important actually than the drawing itself. We could probably come up with a drawing or trace something, but it's really all about the shading on there. And I ordered something here. I haven't seen it yet. We're going to open it up and take a look at it, but I thought I would share it with you as I see it. I do appreciate you taking time to be within the shop today. All right, let's take a look here, see what we've got. Recently, I was watching one of Don Gonzales' videos, and I think I've mentioned in the past, I like to listen to his YouTube. He calls them Monday morning saddle briefings, and he'll cover different things that are going on in the shop and where they're headed and such. Well, he was talking about, I think it was the book 2 that was just finished, and it was tooling patterns, and they're set up for corners specifically. And I thought, one of the challenges that I find in creating tooling on, say, a journal is trying to, well, one, if you're going to tool the whole thing, you can really invest a bunch of time in it. And I think that just having a little bit tooled in a corner can really add a lot of pizzazz to your project. And I thought, I'm always saying, if there's somebody out there that you appreciate what they provide, then, find a way to support them. Well, he has this catalog or book of tooling patterns. And a lot of times when you see a tooling pattern, you get this. And I know experienced people know what to do with this, but having a tooled example of it is so helpful to get an idea of the best places to place your decorative cuts. Let me zoom you in just a little bit here. Your decorative cuts and your shading and what's background and what, leaf or feather type feature is under or over the other item. So having just this, to me, is less enjoyable than having this as an example. Now, if you just have this, that can be hard to then draw this. So Don took the time to put these together to give you, the complete package here. And he's got, lots of examples. So like here is a journal, and a lot of times I have created an all-over tooling pattern on here, but a lot of the times I think if you want your project to stand out a little bit, just adding that to the corner of it, or this one here, maybe that fits better, to the corner of your project, I think is very helpful. And the other thing is that if I needed this to be slightly smaller, I can shrink this down on a photocopier, and then I still have this as an example of how to tool it. So maybe it's easy for a lot of people to see these pencil drawings and to know how to tool it. But Don has gone through here and given us all of these examples. So this is I think this one is his floral book. And then this one here, I think, has more feather-like patterns in it. I'll open it up here. And I don't know if I said it earlier or not, but to me, it's just one way of also to help support him. He's got, a good business going there. He's just a very personable guy. And yeah, this one's got feathers. And I just think it's really helpful. I've gotten a lot out of Don's tooling classes. If you ever are in a position to where you can take one of his tooling classes, I think you would get a lot out of it. And I would say that regardless of where you're at in tooling. He has a beginner floral class, and it's got, you do just a corner pattern, and then he has his advanced, which is a bigger panel. Let me show you mine. So I apologize. If you've been around, you've probably seen these before. But this was the beginner floral. I started over here and didn't like how it was going and started again over here. And then day 2, I took the advanced class. And to me, taking this and tooling that, it's hard for me to know exactly where to shade it. And so having Don in the class, he goes through and he goes, this is what we're going to do next, and takes you through that step. And I think once you have that background of knowledge, now if you have this pattern here, it really takes this to the next level. And, you know, he shows at the beginning, he shows in here putting a lot of this in here, and he scratching in the feather here. I saw that as I opened it up, but you can scratch in the pattern. So I just wanted to share that with you. If you have interest in it at all, you should go check out Don's website. He's got them on there. There's book 1 and book 2, and they're not cheap, but there's really, at first I opened up, I'm like, really, that's all the pages are? But there is a lot of information here. He's got some rounded corners. You could straighten that out into a square corner. So I think he's really stepped it up here, trying to give you an example of how to do that. So I know that when he creates tooling patterns for, say, rifle slinging or something like that, I heard a few people saying, you have a lot of patterns, but why don't you have the photos of it? And he said that a lot of times he's creating extra patterns for you, but he's actually not tooled all of those. So I think he put quite a bit into making this book. There's quite a few different patterns in here, and I'm excited to get to where it's cooler. I'm still here in Arizona, but I'm getting ready to pack up and head north. It is hot here today, but I wanted to get this out before I forgot about sharing that with you. Let me turn the camera around here and we will wrap this up. Well, there you go. I just wanted to share that with you. I purchased these, like I said, from Don. I asked him to sign them, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but they were signed in there. But you know, I think a lot of times when we look at tooling patterns, for example, and we look at the cost of the books, I mean, anymore, what's it cost? I was just talking with the wife. Sometimes if we're on the road, we'll slide in Starbucks, get a iced tea and a sandwich. And it used to be you could do that pretty reasonably, but an iced tea and a sandwich now is $15. So, you know, for a couple of stops at Starbucks, you can support Don and his small business and end up with a tooling aid that can help you for years upon years. And then maybe you can share it with somebody else down the road as well. So I appreciate you taking time to be within the shop today. Please like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, I do hope you have a great day.